Hey there, it's Meg with Seed to Fork, and I am here today to talk to you about our cattle panel trellising. This is a newish method for us. This is only our third year trellising with cattle panels. We started it in 2019, completely hooked that year. Loved the ease of management of more than 1 liter on this kind of flat, sort of espalier tomato trellising system. We loved the durability of the materials. It was kind of a one-time cost and it was pretty economical. I estimate it's about $5 per plant for the lifetime of all of the materials that we need. And it's just a lot of fun. So I'm going to show you how we set this up. We set all this up yesterday. It's, I don't know, it's the first Monday in June, you guys. I don't really know what day it is, what date. It's maybe the 7th, something like that. And we are in the middle of a heat wave. This was a little late to be set up, to be honest, but we're happy that it was set up. Nonetheless, I was wondering if we were going to get to it. We have so much going on in the garden this spring that we've had a lot of competition for our spare time on the weekends. So this is kind of a 2-person job. My husband and I did it over the weekend. And now the fun begins because I get to now start the trellising process and the pruning process of the tomatoes themselves. So I'll show you a little bit of that process about how I prune, but a more in-depth video can be found here on my YouTube page as well. So I'll link to that in the notes here because you might find that helpful as well. We typically prune to about 3 liters. I'll sometimes let it go to 4, but I try to stick to 3 for the most part. And I'm gonna be doing a lot of pruning this week. These plants are kind of wild. I'm gonna need to get a little more twine. We're running low on twine, so that's my limiting factor right now, is I think I'm almost out of that. But you want good, dry, breezy conditions, and I've got those for days. So I will be able to get on top of our tomatoes this week, and I'm very excited about it. This is one of my joys of summer, is having those brown fingertips from pruning tomatoes. So I hope you enjoy seeing the process of how we go about this, and if it's of interest to you, I hope you give it a try in your garden. All right, so here I am taking the low tunnel off. This is step 1 of getting a cattle panel set up. I always put my tomatoes under low tunnels to give them a nice warm start. Taking all the hoops off, getting rid of those. And then we came back about a week later and started with a level line. We set a level line, and that is our line by which we're going to set all of our T-posts that we're using to secure the cattle panels to. And we want all of these to be the same height from the edge of the bed, as well as the same height in the bed, which means they're going to be level. And so we really take our time here and making sure they're level before we go ahead and pile drive them. All right, so once we get that kind of level and somewhat secured, then we come back and we pile drive it. And I am looking for a very specific height, and it has to be level in both directions. So I'm very careful with this process. We have a measurement that we knew that we took off of our level string line. So we know when it's at the right height. And we just take this process and repeat it again and again until we've got all of the T-posts set at the right distance to match the length of the corresponding cattle panel that I have decided to put there. And then come the cattle panels. Some were 8 feet, some were 10 feet, some were 3 feet, just kind of varied. And so we secure these with zip ties on the top and bottom. And I will say this year probably went the best it could have. It was a pretty easy process this year. So when we get done with that, then I get to prune them. So here's a sun gold, and it's got a lot of liters, okay? So I've got a liter here, I've got a main liter here, which split off into 2 more liters. And I've got this other liter coming out this way. This one is gonna come off for sure. This one is heading in the wrong direction. This one I might keep, but it needs to get a little taller before I can train it back here. These 2 I'm keeping for sure. And I see another one back here that I'm probably gonna cut. And then in addition to that, every single place where there's a leaf node along a stem is the potential for another liter to form. So this is how tomatoes keep growing and growing, and they're continually kind of fighting for apical dominance. And so I have to do that on all of the plants. For me, the general rule is that I am trying to use the strongest leaders that also are closest back to the panel. I try to set these panels up as close to the tomatoes as possible. They are about 3 or 4 inches behind where I planted the tomatoes, and I kind of did that by design because in the past we've sort of broken a lot of branches and things like that trying to get the trellises up. So as I said, you can find more information about how we actually trellis on the other video that I linked here.